My name is Shachar Peled, and this is the 27th video in a series discussing evolution as the basis of all faith. We are now discussing the tension between individual and society, and we have just began talking about the fact that societies too need a focus of a self, just like an individual needs a self, an I. So a culture also has its own self-identity. The Rabbi Cook, points to the historical existence of a number of sources of such I-ness or such selfness that is that is at the center of each civilization, each culture. We lift our eyes, says the Rav, and look out onto the wide spiritual horizon, and we find it spread out before us in all the directions of the compass that fill the void or the space of cultural world. We see the divine spirit, the spirit of absolute morality or ethics, the spirit of belief or religion, and the national spirit. The personality of the multi-human cannot reach its harmonious completion except when all four of these spirits are fulfilled, and together in their organic combination and in their lively and loving relationship with each other, then will the streams of life continue to spring forth and unite together in a single civilization that will act as one and give place to all these spirits of humanity. The force of evolution is pushing forward to bring about the emergence, to manifest the multi-human, and thus various circumstances and reasons lead to the formation of a multi-human personality. Just as we saw that parenting appeared in the reality of the cosmos in a number of channels, and after many attempts, until it became a stable, durable reality, a general reality in the great branches of the mammals and the birds, in such a way does the trend, the force of unity that is trying to emerge in mankind, the unity of man, the multi-human organism, is trying to appear in various ways. Indeed, Indeed, the coarse national aspirations of combative nations have given nationalism a bad name, and they have given rise or supported the very strong development of private ethics, of individual ethics, that deny the value of the general good or of the many, and claims claims or insists that the insult to the uni-human, the oppressed uni-human, be redressed. Ethics and morality they look at the uni-human and they say, do not oppress. If it is oppressed, then it is immoral. So the thinkers of the 20th century were much involved with the question of this relationship between the individual and the culture. And they tended to see it as a relationship of oppressor and oppressed. And each of these thinkers of the 20th century found himself castigating civilization from another point of view, but they will all have this in common, that they perceived the relationship between the individual and the many as one of being oppressed and of oppressing. Nietzsche viewed civilization as an oppressive force that is resisting the power and the potential power and wisdom of the individual, and instead instills feelings of guilt and resentment. Freud viewed civilization as an oppressive oppressive factor that is acting to limit, constrain, and harness the desires of the individual in such a way that causes the individual great internal conflicts, threatens the individual's very personality, and provokes and generates a great many types of mental illnesses. Marx viewed the cultural system as a means to blind the eyes of the oppressed social strata and to brainwash them with values and perceptions that will enable those who have the means of production to continue in their thieving lifestyle and the oppressive, exploitative lifestyle by brainwashing the masses. In fact, brainwashing each individual into accepting this form of civilization. Foucault saw all aspects and values of culture as power that oppresses the individual both from the inside and the outside, with the panopticon and the idea that the individual interiorizes the terror of society and oppresses himself. This touches upon the truth that the individual is nothing if not for the culture that allows him to grow. But Foucault has turned it on its head, and instead of seeing the positive aspect of that, he saw the negative aspect of the individual interiorizing the need or the ability of civilization to oppress the individual, and thus oppresses himself, even when he could be free. So we see that very different thinkers of the 20th century have this central idea that guides them, that the interface between the individual and society is a Trojan horse full of very dangerous enemies. So whether the powers or the forces of civilization have made the individual into a downtrodden, rancorous person with resentments, which is like what Nietzsche said, whether it made the individual into a repressed creature full of guilt, which is Freud, or a body managed by an internal prison warden, Foucault. In all these cases, the rejection of the needs of society has become more and more strong as the years went by, especially after German nationalism has very sharply shown the dark side of a united culture with a common goal, and the sensitivity of the consent of the many, of the consensus, to propaganda and to lies, and to the fostering of hate. So it seemed that Hitler and the great oppressions of the 20th century vindicates these ideas that the individual is oppressed and culture is oppressive. But as we shall see, or we have seen already, that this is a bit lopsided, because it means that you throw away the baby with the bathtub. The bathtub is full of the dirt of dictatorships, but the water is good. The water of united society is fantastic. We see this, for example, in the open source community on the internet. People voluntarily gather together and create amazing things. They can do wonderful things that only a lot of people coming together can do, and there's no oppression there. Although maybe there are some, I don't know, people will have some persecution complex even in the open source movement, but it seems to me that it's pretty egalitarian. So we see that postmodernism and the thinkers of the 20th century that gave rise to this trend in thought are looking at the whole process from just one single aspect, and they can be understood and vindicated in their position. But when you get the bigger picture, the evolutionary picture, then you can see that although this is one solution to the problem, it is not a real solution, because it destroys the many in favor of the individual. And this is just as bad as destroying the individual in favor of the many. What we need is the right balance. And this is the good.